internationally, or can you buy it in stock?
This is from Amazon.
Amazon? What is the main theme of the protest that brought people out today?
Well, the main theme is really just showing that we're not here as a threat. We're more here as that we're helping the community, you know? We add to the economy, we work jobs that people don't want to work. We work hard, and we're not here to steal anybody's jobs. We're just doing the jobs that usually people here in America don't want to do. The hard part, like the hard jobs, like being in the field, being janitors, and it doesn't even pay much, you know? It pays so little, but we do it because we're here to survive and work and not steal from anybody.
No, and I think that's all very extremely noble. And I guess my question would come down to what limits would in your opinion, what limits does the United States have to enforce its laws on people that did come here illegally initially? Because I don't think there's a conversation around like people that immigrated here legally.
Yeah.
Great. But I think there's like a question about people that aren't here with documents and we don't know what's going on, like what should be done.
I think the division is that we're not seen as human beings when we really are. We're seen as, you know, someone that came over the border, and we're immediately put as into this box as if we're illegals. Illegals is not a thing, you know. The border used to be across from Texas, you know. Texas was taken back to the U.S. I think we're just fighting for our right to be seen as human beings and not judged for coming from a country that has less and wanting to better ourselves and our people.
No, I think, again, that's all, it seems extremely noble, and I don't think anyone has any problems with that. Do you think there's any, or any deportations, should any happen? Like, if it's criminal behavior, or how do you feel about the situation of deportations in general?
I was just talking about that, about her, like, we as Hispanics, we come here illegally to work and do the right thing and not do any criminal activity. That's what we're here for, but we're okay with if you're selling drugs, sex trafficking, all that, that's fine when it comes to deportation. But when you're here, just because you cross the border and you wanted to work and provide for a better life for your family, I mean, why should you get deported for that when you're just working hard?
Yeah.
You know?
No, yeah, it makes sense.
When it comes to something like illegal, like I said, sex trafficking, drugs, selling of children, things like that, yeah, we're totally fine with that.
I agree with Juan. I think if you're doing something wrong, you should be, you know, sanctioned. Is that the word for it?
Like sectioned off. Like,
yeah,
you should.
You should be held responsible for your own actions. But I think the issue is that, you know, most of these people aren't doing these things, and they're still being, you know, blocked off in this box or whatever, and we're still being targeted and all of these things. But if you are here doing the wrong thing, then we as a Hispanic community, we don't have an issue with you being deported. You know, you're out here doing things that you shouldn't be doing.
Do you think because I'm with you, and I think most people that come over are probably straight people. I don't even argue with that. But do you think countries have a responsibility to their citizens first? Like, Japan's not going to let just a bunch of random people come into their country, or Colombia's not going to let Venezuelans come into their country. Do you think the United States government would have a responsibility to citizens over non-citizens first when it comes to payments and healthcare and stuff like that?
I know what you're asking, and I understand all of that, but as of right now, no illegal or undocumented or even refugees are getting any type of benefit. I work in an immigration law office, and I've seen it, you know. Illegal immigrants are not getting any healthcare, free healthcare. We're not getting any of those things. Actually, I had a person call us and ask, hey, you know, I'm a resident, how can I vote? And I said, hey, sir, you can't vote until you're a citizen. And he argued with me for like 10 minutes straight that he's seen illegal, undocumented people vote. And I just think it's a misconception, and it's uneducation all around. You know, we just have to educate ourselves a little more. We are helping people, but a lot of these programs are not government funded.
Yeah. No, the only thing I guess what brought to my mind with that question was like emergency rooms, because I do have people that I know work in emergency rooms, and they do have a problem with people that aren't citizens coming in, utilizing the service, and then clogging up the emergency rooms. And not paying and
Definitely, I see what you mean. However, you know, as a country, and as human beings, me and my thoughts, I think you can't deny a person, you know, basic human rights, regardless of where they come from. You know, if I see a person out of the streets and they're asking for food and I have food on me, even if it's like my last taco or whatever, I'm gonna give it to them because that's just the kind of person I am. I just think we're so divided here in the United States specifically, maybe in other countries as well, but I think here's the U.S. because I live here also. I think we're so divided on the fact that we need to be seen as legal or illegal that we forget that everyone's a human being, everyone deserves love, and you know, you don't deny a person food, shelter, or even medical care.
Yeah, no, I think principally everyone wants to be a good human in that regard. I think it's just the issue of finite resources at some point, like where do they go?
Well, what's also crazy to me is that even veterans are not getting the best health care, and they're from here.
And we were talking about that too,
Yeah, Americans here in the United States that are citizens born in America are not getting the help they need.
Exactly. We pay so much in taxes.
Yeah.
We pay so much to try and help our people, you know. And what makes me more mad is that we know, you know, we're using some of the money that we're paying into our taxes to go help other wars, help fund wars, or even like help people that, you know, have universal health care. And then,
actually, a lot of our money goes to terrorist organizations, for real.
Exactly. And then we turn around here, right, literally, right, as we cross over to the other side of this building, not even the other street.
Yeah.
We have so many people that are unhoused, unsheltered, and literally homeless. And that's what makes me mad when I see a veteran out on the streets, how I'm like, we pay so much into taxes, and these people cannot even get a room. Not a room, you know, a little bed inside of a shelter.
I'm with you.
Yeah, they don't get good medical care. They don't get taken care of after war, even though they fought for the United States itself.
Yeah.
They don't get taken care of.
Yeah.
I'm like, if the United States doesn't care for immigrants, then why don't they care for the American people as well?
Right.
But I think that's the extension. They don't care for their own people, so how are they going to care for the immigrants that come into this country?
I'm with you, and I guess that kind of leads me on this next path. If there is like one resource, whatever that might be, and it comes to a veteran or someone that is here, you know, illegally, however you want to use the term, they both are humans that need care, but there's one piece of resource to give out. Who is the United States responsible to in that situation?
I think as of right now, we don't have that. You know, the U.S. as a country should be responsible for helping not illegal immigrants specifically, you know, because at the end of the day, they're not part of this country, regardless of how you see it. I think they are. I think they build our country. I think they do so great for us. But if they're not willing to help their own people, which is the U.S. citizen veterans that go out, fight these wars, that they are even sometimes taken, like without them wanting, I think if they're not helping them, and they should be helping them, they're obviously not going to help people that come here illegally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think so many in the Latino community, the Hispanic community? I don't even know what's the appropriate term to use at this point because is Hispanic or Latino?
Hispanic, Latino, we're all the same.
I don't know. You know, I don't want to offend anybody.
No,
but why do you think so many in that community voted for Donald Trump? Like over half of Latino men, and on like 45% of women.
In my views, it's just because of the slap in the face that, you know, we have so many immigrants coming in doing these illegal activities where there's a huge part of the community, especially Mexican community, that has come here, worked hard for so many years. You know, we were the natives of this land. We're pushed out or whatever it was, and we've come here, we've worked, we've paid our taxes, and then to see so many handouts given to some people that, you know, don't want them, some people that don't appreciate them, come in and take all these things. I think that's wherever the 40 or how was it, 56?
It was 45% of women and 55% of men.
Exactly. I think that's where it comes from, that a lot of these people are so blindsided and they're so hurt by the fact that their own community, like they're not being taken care of in that way, which we aren't asking for that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, me as a Mexican descendant, I'm not asking for that stuff. My parents were never asking for that stuff. But we see the discord, sorry, I don't know the word.
No,
but
you're fine.
We see that it's not fair for all of us. So many people get all these benefits, we don't, and I think that's where it comes from. I don't think specifically the Mexican community, but I will say also a lot of people coming from other countries think that the only way to live is like they do in their country, and they come here trying to vote like that as well.
Yeah. Okay. No, I completely understand.
And when I talk about them specifically, I mean the kids. You know, illegal immigrants cannot vote, cannot express it.
No.
More.
I'm aware. What do you think then? Would we agree at least that there's an issue at the southern border with narcotics and fentanyl and crime?
Well, if you go to the southern, like to Mexico, towards Mexico, they don't use drugs like they do here in the United States.
100% they don't.
Yeah. So most of the drugs are absolutely used in the U.S.
Yeah, there would be no market with them.
Yeah, so if we could get a hold or a stop on the drugs, somehow, I think without the Americans asking for the drugs or finding ways to
you do need to kill the demand.
Yeah,
for sure.
So,
and I think killing demand is meeting basic needs for people.
Yeah,
because
literally.
when you meet basic needs for humans, they're not going to ask for all these other things. Maybe they'll do them recreationally, but for example, and I'm not saying this is what they do, homeless person, out on the streets when it's super, super cold, and then, they go get some illegal drug to make it past the night. They shouldn't be needing those things, but, that's the only way to sleep peacefully or whatever. So I think whenever your country meets your basic needs, you wouldn't need to resort to these other things.
No, I'm with you, and again, I think your macro diagnosis of the problem is correct, but at the same time, right, if there is a drug dealer and he sells drugs to a kid, and the kid dies, the drug dealer is still going to get punished, even though the kid made a bad decision. So how do we punish the people that are pushing the narcotics, pushing the fentanyl,
well, I think
working with the Chinese Communist Party to do it, which is crazy?
I think we are punishing them by, getting them, putting them in jail and all of that stuff. However, I think, like I said, the root of the issue isn't just, arresting these people that are going to be replaced as, like you said, as more demand comes, more of these people are going to keep coming and keep selling drugs. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be other countries bringing in those drugs. It's just people here also sell them, And like I said,
most of the fentanyl is manufactured in China and then through Mexico.
Correct, yes. But like I said, I think if we met our basic needs here, we wouldn't have that problem.
Okay.
Like sure, we're helping by arresting people and maybe helping with the Chinese so sorry.
No, you guys are fine. I appreciate everything.
No, or maybe even like just cooperating with China's Communist Party or whatever it is, even if that sounds horrible. But I think maybe if we met our basic needs here, and that wouldn't be a thing.
Okay. Last thing, like if the idea of a wall, is there any value in that, or is it seen as racist in the Latino community? Could it work? Like, what do we?
I think the wall is just kind of like more of a metaphor, because in reality, a wall is not going to stop anything. I think the root of the problem is not there, and I think the only way to, stop whatever they're trying to do is hitting it from the beginning, which is helping there be more programs to help illegal immigrants not be a thing, helping them, giving them a path to either residency or citizenship, making it a little easier for them to be able to come to these countries and do all these things right. So I think like the wall isn't really it's more of a metaphor, because it's not really stopping anything. Right now we have a wall, that's not really that long, and it hasn't helped bring the illegal immigration situation come over here. It hasn't helped, but
if getting your papers is a little bit like, not saying that it has to be like super simple, but if it would take less time instead of like 7 years, 8 years, 12 years,
I'm with you.
It would be much easier for the Hispanic community to come to the United States without just having
anybody
to jump.
that wants to come here,
right?
Yeah,
literally.
I have a friend that's married to a Korean woman.
Yeah.
She's a chemist. Married to an American, took her 5 years to get the appropriate documentation. So I guess, do you feel like the people in the Latino community or in any community that immigrated that did it appropriately kind of has some resentment towards the people that came over without doing it the proper way?
I think some, but not all. There are those people that do show if you've seen like TikTok videos, they show that I came this way illegally, all this stuff. But it's just because the process is so long, they just feel more, I guess, I would say a little bit more bitter about it.
Okay.
Yeah. Because sometimes people, like I said, it takes 8 years, 12 years, 15 years, even longer sometimes.
It's hard. Yeah.
So it's kind of, I want to say for all people, but a little bit of the community, they don't want to fathom. They'll be like, I worked so hard and it took me so long to get here. Why do they get the opportunity to like do that? But I don't think they should hold it against them, because, in my opinion, it's a little bit harder to cross a border and it's more life-threatening
I mean, it is
Just-
dangerous.
Also, to live in fear of, getting deported from a country that is the only thing you know. You have these 4-year-olds coming in, and thankfully, most of them have DACA and stuff. You have these kids that don't know any other country. Some of them don't even know their native language. And then to just be scared, thank you, to just be scared that, they're going to be deported to a place that they don't know of, that they don't know if they have people out there. It's just terrifying, and it's really hard.
Go ahead, sorry.
And I don't think they should hold any resentment because they help make more money for the United States, More work, more jobs, they're bringing more taxes in, things like that.
Do you think, and last question, I'm sorry, I keep
No,
going
you're
on
good,
this.
you're
It's just
good.
really interesting. You guys are great to talk to. And come on, the best haircut I've seen and the best fashion, so thumbnail right here for sure. But I see a lot of Mexican flags right here, and that makes sense, but I talked to a couple of people that said, well, they really identify with their Mexican culture more than being American. Do you think that could be an issue if that is the kind of the wider idea of people living in America don't identify as American first?
I think that's a great question. I think a lot of, America specifically has a lot of culture, and a bunch of the culture comes from other places as well. And I just think as Americans, we're infused with all these cultures and everything that we don't necessarily have to have a specific culture to identify as an American. I think regardless of where you come from or what your culture is, you can still be American. And yes, you might think like, oh, but maybe they're more rooted in their Mexican culture, but in reality, we were raised within a Mexican culture, but we were raised in America. We still have those values that here we, the thinking of, racism. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, but we were raised here, and I think as much as we love our Mexican roots, we still love America because we were raised, born here. I just think it just really influenced us. And also, if you ask me, what culture I've gotten from America, I really don't have a lot of culture in America. I do love this country because I live here, but most of my culture comes from Mexico and, my Mexican parents and my Mexican heritage. And that doesn't stop me from loving America. I just think the root of the issue right now is, Hispanics being thrown out of the only place they know, Hispanics' rights being taken away. And that's how they'll start, Hispanics, and then, they'll kick me out too, that I'm a citizen, which is, there's already talks about it, So
Who's talking about that? Because I don't think any sane person would agree with that.
I agree with that. I think a lot of American patriotic people, that stand by the Constitution wouldn't even be okay with that.
No, you shouldn't be.
You shouldn't be okay. But that's where the disconnect is, where, you don't realize that you're for the Constitution or not. But I do think that most of these people were raised with Mexican beliefs or Hispanic beliefs, and other people's ideology. So in reality, we do love this place, but we were raised culturally Mexican or Hispanic in other people's cases. And I just think regardless of where you come from, we live here and we still love this country. We're just addressing the issue that's at hand right now.
Okay, cool. Is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, man, it's just not forgetting your traditions, If your parents come from Mexico, you want to celebrate your Mexican tradition. If they come from Vietnam, you want to celebrate your Vietnamese tradition.
No,
if you come from
I
China,
get it. Yeah.
what is it, the Lunar Festival?
Yeah.
And we celebrate all of that because the United States is the melting pot, right?
Correct.
Everybody's here from different countries, and they all want to come together as one.
Right.
Not separation.
I guess ideally you have the American flag and all these other flags that melt together under this one thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like if it becomes where the Vietnamese stick with their culture only, and Mexicans and Polish and Germans, whoever, then pretty soon you have a bunch of
Separation.
random cultures with no common, and then it's very hard to have a cohesive society.
Yeah. But from what you see, mostly the Mexicans are cool with Americans, We're like, yeah, gringos, blah, 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 right? We're like, we're chill. We'll share our food with you. We'll share our traditions with you. If you go to a Mexican party and you bring a Mexican flag, hat, hey, what's up, bro?
I grew up in Western Kansas.
Yeah.
Half my hometown was Mexican,
Yeah.
so it's.
And we're literally welcoming people to our culture.
Right.
And we love to welcome people to our culture.
I think it's a little unfair to say hey, we're here bringing all these flags with Mexican flags? How can you stand behind Mexico or even Guatemaltecos, El Salvador? I've seen so many flags out here when, you live here and you're growing here, but in reality, like, this country was built on immigrants, and we've all helped, everyone's helped shape it. Everyone's an immigrant, regardless of where you see it, except for, of course, if you're a Native American, and they're not here, they're up in Oklahoma,
Yeah, but even they were natives, and then there's other natives, and there was other,
correct, but that's what I mean, like, we don't have a specific culture, we all just live here, and we're infused with everyone's cultures, everyone's traditions.
Do you think we need something that is like an American culture that really brings us all together? Because if there's people coming from the outside that want to, because we are the most powerful country, we can't argue that. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, but we are. And people want to tear that down from wherever. Don't you think, and again, because I don't want to, in an ideal world, I wouldn't want to say, I'm talking to Mexicans or I'm talking to Poles. I would say I'm talking to some Americans with Mexican backgrounds, or Polish people with Polish. So how do we melt this together and keep a cohesive country where we're all like one thing?
I think just seeing everyone as human beings, I think it'll be a lot more easier to, unite together and respect everyone whenever everyone treats everyone like they want to be treated. And I think, in a perfect world, that would be done. But, we don't live in a perfect world. We live in America. And America has so many different cultures, so many ethnicities, so many languages. And I just think, we're here, we want to work, and we want to be treated like decent people.
Yeah, it's just, instead of seeing the skin color or what language you speak, it's just trying to communicate or come together, If we can do that, even if, like, let's say you know English and I knew Spanish, we could add a translator.
Yeah.
Or I come to the country and I learn your language. And you don't come to my face and say, you're supposed to speak English.
No, I've lived in other countries and you have to learn that language when you go to the,
Correct.
But
Totally different.
instead of saying things like that, just be like, hey, let's try to communicate. Let's try to be human beings and not segregate each other or judge each other by the way we look, by the way we talk, the way we speak,
I don't think people judging you too by how you look is your Abercrombie models or something.
He does actually model.
Yeah.
No way. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't do it again. But hey, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you
What's
for
your
the
name?
interview.
I'm Juan.
What? Juan?
It's Stephanie.
Stephanie, nice to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure. We can send this to you if you guys have like an Instagram or something like that. Yeah. Yo, that's a fresh pic.
Appreciate it, man.
And it saddens me that they wave a flag of a country that doesn't do nothing for their people.
That's
Because I've been to Mexico. I have family over there still and all that. It's beautiful, but unfortunately, you can't make a living in Mexico.
right.
That's why they're leaving. And they should be doing this protesting with their government. Because the president will be, oh yeah, we're going to raise this. If they raise the tariffs, this, and we're going to raise the price and everything. Okay. But she has not once said I'm going to raise the pay that I do for my labor workers, If they're going to raise the tariffs, well, I'm going to make more money, okay? I'm going to raise the tariffs. There are people over there work for a whole week for $100.
Right.
Okay? And to me, it's like, she's trying to say the people waving flags. I love Mexico too and everything,
Sure.
The Mexican tell me to soccer and all that, but don't act like she's backing you up, because she's not. I want to hear from her, look, I'm going to do something to my country so where my people don't have to leave,
Right. That should be the goal, to have good relationships between different countries.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm for it if we get here, work visas and everything.
Sure.
Good, because since I've been little, it's been the same situation in Mexico. I have family that are agriculturists over there. They when they pick up the crops, they drop the prices dirt cheap, so they don't have to. The government doesn't have to pay much for them. And then they're always in debt, It's a constant rotation. And what saddens me is that that's never going to change, because these people, they're my race and everything, but they want to act blindly to that, They should not act blindly to that. They should not. It's okay. It's just like some people say, oh, Texas is from Mexico and California, I don't understand what they okay, let's say, and they do get it back, What do they expect is going to happen to Texas and California?
Right.
It's going to be in the same situation that the rest of the country of Mexico is. They ain't going to keep the same job, the same pay and everything. They're going to keep on migrating up north, Because sadly, we got to fix like they say, you got to fix your own house before you, and I'm all for them to get work visas and everything, whatever, and for a change. They are hard workers. I'll recognize it. They are hard workers. I'm proud of them. They're hard working and everything. But we got to start not only here, over there too. Over there also.
I also feel like there's a little bit of a misconception here that Republicans or conservatives hate immigrants, and that's not not the case at all.
Unfortunately, there are some that try to go to MAGA and say, oh, it's for, they act like, oh, MAGA's for us, the white people.
Well, it turns into a white nationalist thing, which is not what that's supposed to be.
No, correct. But someone try to hide that, but it's like saying that all of them are like that. No, not all of them are like that. I have many friends from every different culture and everything. They voted Trump and all that, because they wanted a change for the economy. It's a bet. Either party, whichever it is, it's always a bet, know? And nothing's a for sure thing. It's a bet,
Yeah.
Everybody was started in 4 years. They won in 4 different years. See what happens. It may go good, or it may go south.
Yeah, let's see.
You got to see. But, we already went through 4 years of one thing. You don't want to keep on going through those 4 years,
when I ask the people about it, I'm like, well, what should, there is a problem at the border, clearly. How do we fix it? And no one has like an answer for it, but do you have any friends or family that's like in the RGV area down there?
Yes.
So why do you think they all voted for Trump?
Because they're insecurity. They're right there, right in front of it. I have a brother that lives in McAllen, and all that. The insecurity is high over there. The robbing, everything, all that, the looting, it's high. It's high, and because they don't mind people coming over here, but not like an wide open border. You gotta have anywhere there has to be order. Order. If you lose order, you lose everything. You lose everything. Unfortunately, we can't do everything overnight. It takes time to get everything. And then what I've seen, a lot of people put on the internet, oh, they're deporting all these people, this and that. I've heard they're only deporting people that have like bad felonies or records. They already got a list. Everybody else, just that don't be at the wrong place at the wrong time. And then they're getting the situation straightened out.
They're not going after kids in schools but that's like I've seen stay out of our schools, but that's not. Yeah. It is like. I don't know. It just seems like a lot of misinformation.
I haven't seen or known anybody saying, oh, yeah, they're at this school. Nobody. No. I see it on the internet. Yeah. But in life, nobody said or anything.
The internet is not necessarily reflective of reality all the time.
Exactly. And that's, I'm all for the people right now. They're protesting and everything. They're here rights.
Sure.
For families, they're here. They've been here for years. I myself am married to a Mexican woman, born in Mexico and everything. She got her papers straight and everything straight, But there's a list, there's a line, you got to wait and everything. It's got to be in order, Yeah. And hopefully everything works out for them. But it's got to be done the right way,
Of course.
Yeah. And like I said, as long as you keep your record good and everything, you're going to be okay. You're going to get everything done, It's like people have bad records and all that, and then they expect, it's like they say, I've heard them comment on for a long time that they say, oh, they have people that do bad things here and everything. Yes. But I'll put the example. If I have a son of mine that's in my house, he misbehaves and everything, and one of his friends in my house, you know, he misbehaving and everything. I'm gonna tell that son, that kid that's not mine, you gotta go to your house, you gotta leave. I'm gonna train my son,
Because it's your responsibility to your son and their responsibility to their son.
Yeah, so him, I cannot do nothing about him. He has to go to his house, they gotta train him. But mine house, I'm not gonna kick him out on the street, I gotta take care of him, That's the way I see it. And that's the same situation here,
You're making too much sense right now.
It's simple as that, And then it's sad me. I know a lot of people that are from Mexico that come here. Yeah, they're happy here in their house and their home back in Mexico, Unfortunately, they have to come here. Why? Because the Mexican government does not help them. But nobody's saying that on the news. Nobody's telling them, hey, my president, my government is not doing something enough for me to stay back home, So it's, people over there, some of them be like, oh, you can live peacefully here and everything. Yeah, when they have family members here that send them money over there. And it's easy to live. But when you have nobody here sending you money over there, it's hard. Yeah. People over there don't make a living, Even people with an education have to come over here sometimes, Yeah. Because they don't help, So, that's just my 2 cents on that.
No, I really appreciate it. It's nice to get a different perspective. What's your name? Chauncey? Conci. Yeah, very nice to meet you. Oh, Concepcion?
Yeah.
Lane. Yeah, very nice to meet you, sir. All right, well, that's it for us today out here. We've had a lot of interesting conversations with a diverse group of people, really, and I think the most interesting thing to me is a lot of them ended up being forced to grapple with questions they might not have asked themselves before. And honestly, we learned some stuff too. So conversation's good. I'd be interested to see if they take these conversations home and do a little more thinking on them, because I think they might draw slightly different conclusions than they've came to. But at the end of the day, this is an issue that's not going away, so someone's going to have to figure it out.
Click Rumble Premium and join now for $99 annually or $9.99 a month to get the entirely ad-free experience and exclusive content from Louder with Crowder, Nick DiPaolo, Mr. Guns and Gear, Donald Trump Jr., and an ever-expanding roster of content, creators, and free speech.